monsieur, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Haley International Traveling Circus!
Dick Grayson is a DC comic book character who was the first sidekick to Batman as Robin and then later became Nightwing. But he doesn't want to become Batman when Bruce Wayne retires, and this video is going to explain why. Now, before I go any further, I must say that this video is based on the Young Justice cartoon TV series and the tie-in comic books, but it does draw upon other TV series such as The Batman and movies like Batman Bad Blood. This is because in all the versions of Dick Grayson's character in comics, TV series and movies, he doesn't want to be Batman, and for the same reason in all of them. Now, to fully explain why Dick Grayson doesn't want to be Batman, you first have to understand his origin. Dick Grayson was an acrobat in Haley's circus, and he performed alongside his family as the Flying Greysons, and they were world-class performers.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I present to you the fearless Flying Greysons. As always, performing their daring feats without the safety of a net.
One night, they performed part of their act without a safety net. Dick Grayson wasn't part of this act because his family thought it was too dangerous and wouldn't risk his life in the performance. They had performed the act without a safety net before, but on this night something went wrong with the equipment and they fell to their deaths. Everyone thought that their deaths were an accident, but in truth they were killed by mobsters because they refused to pay protection money to them.
Protection? I'm not sure I understand why we would need your protection.
I come from circus folk myself, so let me put this in terms you can understand. You don't pay us, and you'll have to deal with a strong man.
Now, on this particular night, Bruce Wayne happened to be in the audience and saw the whole thing, and he also saw himself in Dick Grayson, as both their parents had died when they were children and in front of their eyes. And since Dick Grayson had no other family to take care of him, Bruce Wayne decided to adopt him.
His parents were all the family that boy had.
That's why I've decided to take him in, as a foster son, if he'll have me.
I think this was because in Dick he saw a kindred spirit, and because when Bruce Wayne's parents died, he felt so alone and empty, and he wanted to help Dick Grayson to get through this terrible ordeal because he knew he'd be feeling the same, and he wanted to help him just as Alfred had helped Bruce Wayne when he was a child.
I was lucky enough to have you to guide me through those dark days, Alfred. Dick deserves the same.
I should say that in the Young Justice tie-in comics, Dick Grayson did actually have one living family member, but he was permanently in hospital and unable to take care of him. Now, to begin with, Bruce Wayne didn't want Dick to know he was Batman, and had no intention at all of taking him on as a sidekick. But due to the fact that they were living together, Robin eventually found out that he was Batman.
Under the circumstances, it was only a matter of time before you learned my secret. Okay, let's talk about what you saw.
You're the Batman, the Dark Knight, the world's greatest detective. That's you!
Batman explained that he was investigating the death of Dick's family, as he believed it wasn't an accident, but murder. When Dick learned this, he insisted in helping bring the criminals down.
You're going after Zuko, aren't you? No, that's for me. I want to make sure he gets what's coming to him.
Now, he was only 10 years old, but thanks to his acrobat training, he was in peak shape and, of course, a fantastic acrobat, which gave him an edge over criminals and allowed him to fight crime. Now, on the surface, having a 10-year-old help you fight crime seems kind of mental, but the reason Batman had Dick Grayson help him was to give him closure. Batman's parents' killer wasn't brought to justice till many years after the incident, and this led to Bruce Wayne being obsessed with bringing him to justice and then becoming Batman.
I don't want your childhood to be consumed by revenge, like mine was.
But being Batman isn't fun. He is obsessed with his mission to eradicate crime in Gotham, and because of this he has no real happiness, as he has no room in his life for anything else other than fighting crime, and he's very closed off to everyone in his life, even those who are closest to him.
You sanctimonious, self-righteous...
You're not in it like I am, Barbara. It's still a game for you. It's still a thrill. You haven't been taken to the edge yet.
The edge of what?
The abyss. The place where you don't care anymore. Where all hope dies.
So Bruce Wayne thought if Dick Grayson helped bring the people who killed his parents to justice, he would have closure, and the darkness that lies inside of Bruce Wayne that drives him to be Batman wouldn't take over Dick Grayson as it had him.
Robin needed to help bring the men who murdered his family to justice.
So he could turn out like you?
So that he wouldn't.
Dick would be happier and still able to let people into his life.
We'll laugh about this someday.
Who's that?
A freshman. Ignore him.
Dick? What was that about?
Nothing, Barbara. Just being friendly to the new girl.
And this is very important for Dick Grayson's character and why he doesn't want to be Batman. Dick Grayson knows that Batman is obsessed and driven to the point where he has no room in his life for anything other than his mission to fight crime, and he doesn't want to be like that. Dick still wants to be a hero, but he wants to have a life outside of fighting crime. He doesn't want to be consumed by the same darkness that has consumed Batman.
I always wanted, expected, to grow up and become him. And the hero bit, I'm still all in. But that thing inside of him, the thing that drives him to sacrifice everything for the sake of his mission, that's not me. I don't want to be the Batman anymore.
Dick Grayson feels that if he becomes Batman, that he will cross a line, and instead of being a superhero, he'll become something else, something darker, and he doesn't want that. And that is why Dick Grayson doesn't want to be Batman. I also feel I should say that although Dick Grayson doesn't want to be Batman, he is of course the heir to Batman's mantle, and if Batman dies or can no longer be Batman, Dick Grayson knows that it is his duty to take over, even if he doesn't want to, as Gotham will always need a Batman. And he has worn the Batman suit in several comics and TV series and films where duty has demanded him to.
What?
I could have handled this alone.
If that's your best Batman, you're not gonna fool anyone, Grayson.
Maybe you'd like a megaphone to announce that?
Do you agree with this as the reason for why Dick Grayson doesn't want to be Batman, or do you think there's another reason he doesn't want to be Batman? And do you think that if Bruce Wayne dies or retires, that Dick Grayson will take over and become Batman permanently? Be sure to let us know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment.
And so the mantle of Batman was passed, and justice endured. Batman endured.